Real gifts require sacrifice. And we see this in verse 32 to 34. Jesus saying, there's a different standard here I expect you to do. This is what the world does. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? He says. Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that? We all do that. That's a natural human response. If somebody's nice to me, I'm nice back. Right? But that's not a real gift because it doesn't cost us anything. The difference is to move to something that's longer term, that trusts in a reward from our Father in heaven and doesn't worry about the response of the person we're giving the gift. In the world standard, it's very simple. What have you done for me lately, right? Last week we talked about, at our business meeting, we talked about the convention, and we talked about what it does for us and whether or not to stay part of this incredible body of people called Christians that call themselves the Church of Jesus Christ that happen to come together under the label of the Convention of Land Baptists. One of the things that struck me as I was going through our history is to realize that we had 20 or 30 years of the convention, 500 plus churches strong, pouring into us financially through the home mission work. That this church exists today because of what they did in their gifts to us. And my question is, do we understand that? Are we grateful for it still? Or is it, what have you done for me lately? And I was pleased, friends, I got to tell you, with our meeting last week, because you affirmed that there's value in that. You affirmed your gratitude to that. And that's a good thing to do, because they gave us a real gift. And in return, we're prepared to give real gifts. See, the difference between the world and the followers of Jesus is we don't settle for only doing what the world does. We give sacrificially like God gave to us. We forget so often. Verses like Romans 5:8, where it says, God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, while we were still enemies of God, while we were still far from Him, He sent His Son. Christ died for us. In Colossians chapter 3, where it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men, since you know you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. When you love your enemies, when you give them that real gift, when you love your neighbor, when you love your family, because folks, let's admit it, sometimes it's harder to love our family than our enemies. Right? Sometimes our neighbors are harder to get along with than the guy down the street. Right? But when you love this way, when you give the real gift of intentional love that sets an example, love that has a cost, it changes things, and we should do it, though, not because it will change them, but because it changes us, and it earns us a reward with our Father. There's a promise there. But the expectation is high. Real gifts test the giver, because they call us to live and to act as Jesus lived and acted. They call us to God's standard of holiness. You all remember the parable of the unmerciful servant, right? The one who came to the king and was expected to pay back a debt he could not pay. And he begged for mercy. And the king says, I forgive the debt, you may go. And that servant comes along and finds another man who owes him a pittance, a little bit of money, a loony in our terms. And instead of forgiving that debt, he holds it against him and punishes him and has him thrown into prison. And Jesus says here's God's standard for us. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and will be given to you. The example we're supposed to set, the sacrifice we're supposed to make, is to follow God's example. To give real gifts like He gives. To love your neighbor. To love everyone, not just your enemies alone. It's not limited to that. To show mercy. Interesting thing about mercy, we have this idea in our society that if you show mercy, if you show forgiveness, that's a sign of weakness. But I dare you to say that God's mercy and forgiveness is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of His strength, because the only one who can be merciful, the only one who can truly forgive, is the one in a position to judge. The one in a position of power and strength. Friends, when you extend mercy and forgiveness, you are the one who is strong. You are the one who is set free and sets the other one free. And we're called to give real gifts in a way that is so generous that it overwhelms you. I will never forget when I was working in landscaping and my boss sent me one time to go get a load of firewood. We had some greenhouses and he heated them with one of these water stoves and had this great big firebox you could put a 3-foot log into. But he sends me to buy firewood from a new supplier because the other guy had run out. And I get there and the deal was this many dollars for a load of firewood. 1-ton pickup truck. And I'm thinking we're getting my boss the best deal possible because I'm Dutch and I'm cheap and I want to just extend the dollars, right? And so I'm throwing the wood onto the truck, and then I'm climbing on the truck and I'm stacking it really neat and tight so I can get as much as possible on the truck. Right? And the guy said it's this many dollars for a load of firewood. So he comes along and sees me loading up the truck, the guy we're buying the wood from. And he says, no, you didn't pay for that, you paid for a load. And I said, that's what I'm putting on. He says, no, you have to throw it on loose. You're not paying enough for that much. And you know what? He has absolutely the right to say that. If you're selling something, you have the right to say whatever standard you want. But first of all, he didn't communicate that up front. Second of all, it just felt stingy. I went out of there feeling like, I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. Why would I buy from him when he's more concerned about how much money he can make than about serving his customers? Right? As Christians, are we willing to be generous, or are people walking away going, man, they'll only go this far and no further? Are we willing to be overwhelmingly generous, to understand this promise and give, and it will be given to you? Here's the measurement. A good measure. Now, for the cooks here, they know what that means. Press down, so pack it in there. Give it a shake to make sure it settles even more, shaken together, and then still running over. Right? Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm scooping up some flour and I pack it down, give it a shake, pack it down some more, pour some more on, and it's falling off the top, I know I got a lot of flour in my cup, right? That's the promise that's here. Because it says, if you give, trusting that the Lord will return, that there will be a reward, an inheritance for us, then what we receive is far more. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, poured into your lap. And here's the absolute promise. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Just as he says, judge. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. In the same way, if you give, it will be returned. This is not some prosperity gospel. I want to be clear about this. This is not if you give the dollar in the offering plate, you're going to get back $1, okay? It's talking about our reward in heaven that we earn with our Father. That He keeps for us where nothing can take it away, where nothing can destroy it. Yes, sometimes there's blessings in this life. I know when I go to Outflow, I'm blessed far more, I think, than the people that are there. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But generosity is a key part of giving a real gift. If my mom gave me a set of drums and then said you can't play them, I wouldn't enjoy the drums very much, would I? In fact, I'd probably be angry with her for giving them to me in the first place. But when a real gift is given in an effort to set an example, when a real gift is given with sacrifice, when a real gift is given according to the example God made for us, it makes a difference. I think too often we forget the real gift we receive from God our Father. The real gift of Jesus Christ. The real gift of a Lord who really has our best interest at heart. Real gift of a God who gives us eternal life, hope, and the future, and the opportunity to be like Him. Those are some real gifts we need to measure and see whether or not we want to give the same. This chapter ends with a great story. It's one we always tell in Sunday school, the wise and the foolish builder. And it's so easy for us to miss this when we're connecting what we're to do. But Jesus says in verse 46, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? The expectations of the passage today, of the Sermon on the Mount, are not, oh gee, this is what it'll be like someday. This is what He expects us to live like now. People who give real gifts, love their enemies, and love one another, and love Him. He says, I will show you what He is like who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice. He is like a person building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house but could not shake it because it was well built. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed and its destruction was complete. I know, friends, you're hearing my words today. I know that as I was preparing, I was hearing these words and asking the question in my heart, do I live this way? Do I give these real gifts? Or am I stingy with them? We all have to ask that question. What will you build on? The rock of obedience? Or on the sand of hearing and then doing your own thing, living your own way? Will you do like Jesus and offer real gifts to people? Will you offer the real gift of love in the face of hatred? Sacrifice, mercy and forgiveness instead of judgment and condemnation? Will you offer real gifts? Again, Jesus said, I will show you what He is like who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice. He is like a man building a house who dug down deep and built his foundation on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck the house, but could not shake it, because it was well built. What are you building on, my friends? What kind of gifts are you giving? Let's pray together.